Let me be honest with you, not everyone is meant to be wealthy, not because they can't, but because they won't do what it takes. 95% of people will never be wealthy because they live for comfort, not for growth. They choose easy today over strong tomorrow. They choose pleasure now over freedom later. They say they want money, but they avoid discipline. They say they want success, but they avoid sacrifice. They say they want change, but they repeat the same habits every day. And then they wonder why nothing changes. Wealth is not built by luck. It is built by decisions, discipline, and delayed gratification. Most people spend what they earn. The wealthy invest what they earn. Most people scroll while others study. The wealthy learn while others relax. Most people wait for opportunity. The wealthy create opportunity. The wealthy create up. They don't wait for permission. They don't wait for perfect timing. They move while others hesitate, and that is why the gap keeps growing. Wealth is built in silence, in early mornings, in late nights, in lonely seasons when no one is clapping. You don't see the sacrifice, you only see the success. But the success was paid for in advance, and the truth is simple. If you want what 95% will never have, you must be willing to do what 95% will never do. They choose comfort over discipline every single day, and they don't even realize how expensive that choice is. Comfort feels safe. Comfort feels safe. Comfort feels easy. Comfort feels familiar. It means sleeping in instead of waking up early. It means watching shows instead of reading. It means spending instead of saving. It means avoiding hard conversations, hard decisions, and hard work. Discipline, on the other hand, feels uncomfortable. It demands structure. It demands routine. It demands sacrifice. And most people would rather feel good now than be free later. Comfort whispers, you deserve a break. Discipline says, you owe yourself better. Comfort says, adjust one more episode. Discipline says, just one more hour of work. So comfort says, a start tomorrow. Discipline says, a start now. And over time, these small choices don't stay small. They compound. They build habits. They shape identity. They decide destiny. Most people want wealth, but they don't want the lifestyle that creates wealth. They want success, but they don't want the boredom of routine. They want freedom, but they don't want the structure of discipline. They want results, but they don't want the repetition. They want to arrive, but they don't want to travel. So they stay exactly where they are. Discipline means waking up when you're tired, working when you're not motivated, saving when you want to spend, learning when you want to relax, staying focused when you feel distracted. It means doing the boring things consistently, and that is exactly why most people avoid it. Because discipline is invisible in the beginning. There is no applause, no recognition, no instant reward, just effort, just grind, just quiet progress. Comfort gives instant pleasure. Discipline gives delayed power. And most people choose instant pleasure. They eat what tastes good instead of what builds energy. They buy what looks good instead of what builds income. They chase entertainment instead of education. They choose now over later. And later, they pay for it. Wealth is built in moments when no one is watching, in decisions no one praises, in routines no one sees. It's built when you go to bed early while others stay out, when you say no while others say yes, when you work while others rest, when you stay focused while others get distracted. And that level of discipline is rare because it requires saying no to yourself. Most people are not lazy. They are undisciplined. They are busy but not focused, active but not intentional, tired but not productive. They move a lot, but they don't move forward. Discipline creates direction. Comfort creates cycles. Comfort creates cycles. The painful truth is this. Every time you choose comfort, you delay your freedom. Every time you choose discipline, you get closer to it. And the gap between the wealthy and the average is not talent. It is not luck. It is not luck. It is not intelligence. It is daily discipline in small, boring, uncomfortable actions that most people refuse to do. They spend instead of investing, and that single habit quietly destroys their future. Most people are trained to consume, not to build. From the moment they get money, they think about what they can buy, not what they can create. New phone, new clothes, new shoes, new car, new lifestyle. They upgrade their image, but never upgrade their income. They look rich, but they are broke. And they stay broke because every dollar that could have been a worker for them becomes a servant to their desires. Spending feels good. It gives an instant rush, it gives validation, it gives comfort, but it gives nothing back. Investing, on the other hand, feels slow, it feels boring, it feels uncertain. And that is why most people avoid it. They don't like waiting, they don't like risk, they don't like delayed rewards, they want results now. So they trade their future for their present, one purchase at a time. The wealthy see money as a seed. The average person sees money as a toy. The wealthy ask, how can this dollar multiply? The average person asks, what can this dollar buy? And that difference in thinking creates two completely different lives. One builds assets, the other builds bills. One builds income, the other builds expenses. One builds freedom, the other builds pressure. Most people never learn this. They get a raise and increase their lifestyle. They get a bonus and go shopping. They get extra money and treat themselves. They never think about ownership. They never think about assets. They never think about cash flow. They only think about consumption. Keeps you working. Consumption keeps you dependent. Consumption keeps you trapped. Investing requires patience. It requires education. It requires discipline. It requires discipline. It requires saying no to things you want so you can say yes to things that matter. And that is uncomfortable. It is much easier to spend than to invest. It is much easier to enjoy today than to plan for tomorrow. It is much easier to impress people than to build power. So most people take the easy path, and the easy path leads to an average life. Every wealthy person understands one rule: money must work harder than you do, but the majority work hard for money and then kill that money with bad decisions. They don't give it a job. They don't put it to work. They don't put it to work. They waste it, and then they complain that they are tired, stressed, and stuck. They are not stuck because they don't earn. They are stuck because they don't invest. They think investing is only for the rich. They think it's too complicated. They think it's too risky. So they never start. And because they never start, they never learn. And because they never learn, they never grow. So they stay exactly where they are, year after year, paycheck after paycheck, wondering why nothing changes. Spending builds moments. Investing builds lives. Spending creates memories. Memories. Investing creates legacy. Spending is emotional. Investing is strategic. And most people live emotionally, not intentionally. They let feelings control their finances. They let impulses control their decisions. They let desires control their direction. And direction is everything. The painful reality is this: every dollar you spend is gone forever. Every dollar you invest has the potential to come back with friends. But most people would rather look good than be free. They would rather enjoy now than own later. They would rather consume than compound. And that is exactly why they remain in the 95%. They think short term, and that single mindset keeps them trapped in small lives. Most people only think about today. Today's bills, today's problems, today's feelings. The ego wants to feel justified, not disciplined. So most people protect their pride instead of building their future. Blame sounds like, if I had better parents, if I was born rich, if I had more opportunities, if the system was fair. These statements may feel true, but they are useless. They don't change anything. They don't create income. They don't build skills. They don't open doors. They only make you feel better about staying the same. Wealthy people think differently. They say, it's my responsibility. Even when it's not their fault, they still take responsibility. Because they understand a powerful truth: you cannot change what you do not own. The moment you own your life, you can direct it. The moment you own your choices, you can change them. The moment you own your mistakes, you can learn from them. Most people want sympathy. The wealthy want solutions. Most people want excuses. The wealthy want results. Most people want someone to save them. The wealthy save themselves. That difference in attitude creates a massive difference in outcome. Avoiding responsibility keeps you stuck in the victim role. And victims wait. They wait for help. They wait for change. They wait for luck. They wait for permission. And while they are waiting, time is passing. Opportunities are leaving. Years are disappearing. And nothing improves. Taking responsibility means admitting, I am where I am because of the choices I made. that sentence is heavy. It hurts, but it is also freeing. Because if your choices got you here, your choices can get you out. Responsibility is not punishment. Responsibility is power. Most people don't want that power because power requires effort. Power requires discipline. Power requires action. One, it is easier to complain than to change. It is easier to blame than to build. It is easier to explain than to execute. So they talk, they vent, they criticize, but they don't move. When you take responsibility, you stop waiting for motivation. You create structure. You stop waiting for confidence. You build competence. You stop waiting for opportunity. You prepare. You stop saying you. Start saying I will. And this shift changes everything. Wealth does not grow in a mindset of blame. It grows in a mindset of ownership. Ownership of time. Ownership of habits. Of habits. Ownership of learning. Ownership of results. Because no one is coming to rescue you. No one is coming to build it for you. No one is coming to live your life for you. The harsh truth is, most people would rather be right about their excuses than be rich from their effort. They would rather explain their situation than improve it. They would rather defend their comfort than confront their potential. And as long as they avoid responsibility, they will also avoid wealth. They avoid learning about money, and that ignorance quietly keeps them dependent. Most people spend years in school but never learn how money actually works. They learn how to get a job, how to follow rules, how to pass tests, but no one teaches them how to build wealth, how to manage cash flow, how to invest, how to create assets, or how to make money grow. How? No. So they grow up working for money instead of understanding money. And when you don't understand something, it controls you. They know celebrities. They know sports statistics. They know viral trends. They know gossip, but they don't know the difference between assets and liability. They don't know how compound interest works. They don't know how debt traps you. They don't know how ownership creates freedom. And because they don't know, they struggle. Most people think money is just something you earn and spend. That's it. End of story. They don't see money as a tool. They don't see it as leverage. They don't see it as a system. They see it as survival. So they live paycheck to paycheck, hoping, praying, wishing something changes while doing nothing to change what they know. Means they want approval more than results. So they conform. They stay in jobs they hate because everyone has a 9 to 5. They pursue degrees they don't need because everyone goes to college. They buy houses, cars, and luxuries because everyone else does it. Match. And in chasing conformity, they sacrifice freedom, wealth, and opportunity. The wealthy understand a simple truth. Success is not found in the masses. True wealth comes from thinking differently, acting differently, and sometimes standing alone. The wealthy make unpopular decisions because they see value where others see risk. They invest where others fear. They work when others rest. They innovate when others copy. They embrace discomfort while others follow comfort. They know that the crowd rarely leads to riches. Following the crowd also means missing trends before they become opportunities. If you wait until everyone else is buying stocks, starting businesses, or adopting new strategies, the best opportunities have already passed. Timing, insight, and vision are key components of wealth, and they are rarely found in people who always wait for the majority. While the crowd hesitates, the wealthy act. Most people confuse popularity with wisdom. They think that if many people do it, it must be right. But the truth is, the majority is often wrong when it comes to money, habits, and long-term success. Trends fade, markets change, and fads disappear. What the crowd worships today, they regret tomorrow. And those regrets cost money, time, and freedom. Independent thinking is uncomfortable. It forces you to question norms. It forces you to take risks. It forces you to go against friends, family, and society. It forces you to stand alone at times, and that is why most people never do it. They would rather follow. But following guarantees they stay in the 95%, while the few who think for themselves join the 5% who build wealth. The truth is simple. Wealth is not about luck, education, or talent alone. It is about choices, mindset, and action. The 95% stay average because they follow comfort, avoid responsibility, ignore learning, spend without strategy, think short-term, and follow the crowd. The 5% who break free are those who decide differently, act differently, and think differently. They embrace discomfort, take ownership, invest wisely, plan long-term, educate themselves, and stand apart from the crowd. The question is not whether you can be wealthy. The question is, are you willing to do what 95% won't? Your future depends on the decisions you make today. Choose wisely, act boldly, and start building your wealth now.